Charles Mingus is art.
Watts Jazz Festival is exciting, local, and the community.
The Watts Towers Arts Center is a place where you have music, you have visual arts, and you have lots of fun.
We can communicate through the arts when we can't communicate anywhere else. So that's what these festivals are about, bringing people together.
Rosalie Hooks, and working it with the cultural affairs, and having them to see that it was an important kind of a program to bring into our schools. And so it became a wonderful marriage.
More international visitors come to tour the towers than people from our own community. And so I really want to say this is a unique treasure that we have here.
We were both 12 years old and going to Jordan High School. One day they said, "You got to meet this kid Mingus, he plays cello." And I said, "Cello?" I didn't know anything about cello, I knew about bass. But bass was just coming in, so it's an interesting story. There was a song called Slap That Bass. Slap that bass, da-da-da-da-da, or something like that. And so Mingus kind of laughed, you know, and he found himself when he got that bass. So he always looked at me like, "Man, you did so much for me. But you did the playing, you did the work." But he liked that bass, and he, you know, as you can see, he's one of the best bass players we have. After school, he would walk to my house. He lived 108th, right over here. I live at 97th Street. He'd walk with his bass on his shoulder, about 15 years old. But he was always a big, strong guy. As we'd play on the red car, the car would be packed with people, and he'd say, "Let's play," but he'd zip the cover off the bass. And I always thought we'd get into trouble, but he was a little more bolder than that. But you know, our combination was great. He would get a little wild sometimes, and I could cool him down. And then there'd be times I'd feel, oh, if we play, you know, my grandma and the people were kind of strict in my family. If you do something now, you know, we get you for that. You've got to behave yourself. So I thought playing on the car would bother the people. It's just, "Aren't you guys going to play today?" They even asked us to play. Because we played pretty good, you know, for kids. You see a 12 or 13-year-old kid playing, you kind of encourage them rather than say, "You can't do that." And the motorman or something would wave back, you know, like, "Fine, it's fine with me, go ahead," you know. So we played every day. There were a couple of places in LA that we'd go when we were a little older, maybe 16 or so. After the job, we'd go there and hang out. 54th Street drugstore, but people like Ellington and big prize fighter, Jack Johnson, those big stars from that day would be hanging out there to have malts and sandwiches at 2 or 3 in the morning, and we'd just, little kids be hanging at 16, 17. We felt we were little, but you know, those giants around. Duke Ellington Count, basically all the band members, and we'd talk to them, ask them questions about music. This is great to see that a musician, a jazz musician, got a building.
Charles Mingus Youth Arts Center is a great day for the Watts community right here in the same place where innovation took place with Simon Rodia and the Towers. What a beautiful thing.
We made a tribute to Charles Mingus this year because we're opening the Charles Mingus Youth Arts Center. Many people don't know that Charles Mingus grew up one street over on 108th Street. So it's fitting that the Jazz Mentorship Program will be sponsoring the music that's coming out of the Charles Mingus Youth Arts Center as Buddy and Charles came up together in music in this community.
And I have been a part of the Jazz Mentorship Program for 18 years. So we've gone out to schools and museums and libraries, and we've demonstrated the different elements that create jazz music. And we've taken this program all over the city of Los Angeles. So now it's a wonderful opportunity to have something here as well.
We're so pleased to have it finished and operative, and have these wonderful displays, and having children in here to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. I can see that the Jazz Mentorship Program should certainly easily network with it by even when we go into the high schools, taking some of the work that has come from the Youth Arts Center.
Watts is a very rich community. Many people just think that there are gangs here and there's negative images going on down here, families, welfare families who don't care about their children, but this community is very rich in all the disciplines of the arts. And we are marketing ourselves so that we get a better rap. We have some major culture coming out of Watts, California, and we want the world to know that there are very loving and caring families here who want the same thing for their children that other people want.
The one thing that the corporate community feels that America can still have a leadership role in are creative industries. And so the arts are an important component in building creativity and developing creativity, not just in children, but people of all ages. There's a recognition, even at the corporate level, that the arts really help develop more inquisitive minds, more out-of-the-box thinkers, and that's where a lot of innovation comes from. And so Los Angeles has the largest number of creative workers in the whole country, which to me that means the whole world. And so we actually have an opportunity to develop kids through a place like the Charles Mingus Center that can then go on and get lucrative jobs. Our animation program, which we do in partnership with Sony Media Pictures and with CalArts, is a really wonderful example of that. So the kids can come here after school, on weekends, etc., and participate in something that's healthy and that is, positive.
Well, I think one of the most important things about this is that it shows that there is culture throughout Los Angeles. And this center now gives a safe place for children in the area and throughout Los Angeles, but particularly here, so that they can see what's going on here and learn about music, and to know that Charles Mingus, the famous jazz bassist, lived in Watts. And so he's the son of Watts.
The Friends of the Watts Towers Arts Center are dedicated to reinventing that cultural crescent, that family center, that international haven, whereby the teachers of our community, the artists of our community work together.
This is my mother, who was Charles Mingus's sister. This is Vivian Mingus Miles.
I'm the oldest.
We broke ground for this center in 2003, and Sue Mingus was here along with Charles Mingus's sister.
I'm Charles's daughter, Kikai, and this is his granddaughter, Bo.
When Charles was alive, he was known as a virtuoso bass player, a piano player, a colorful personality on stage, a band leader. He always said he was first and foremost a composer, and it's taken about 23 years for the rest of the world to catch up.
In spite of every intention I had of never becoming an old lady, I have, alas, entered that category, and I'm unable to attend the important inauguration taking place today. How pleased Charles Mingus would have been to know that a community center that will offer so much to the children in the very neighborhood in which he grew up is carrying his name. and that in connection with this celebration, his music will be performed in venues in Los Angeles next weekend and throughout the coming year. Who could have imagined in the days when he and other neighborhood children were bringing broken mayonnaise jars and empty Coca-Cola bottles to Simon Rodia to be used as pieces of mosaic in three strange and wonderful towers growing out of his backyard, that one day the two of them, he and Rodia, would be honored side by side with edifices that stand as an inspiration to anyone who sees them. They are surely a reminder that if you believe in yourself, work hard, and don't give up your dreams, you can achieve those impossible dreams as they did. Sue Mingus.
Watts Towers and Simon Rodia, a guy who came here, moved here, an immigrant who brought together a community who early on people almost thought he was maybe not packaged all together right, because he was putting, you know, little shards of glass and throwaway materials and putting it all together and try to make something beautiful from it. And I remember saying back then that for me, it was emblematic of the diversity of this city. This was a man who really treasured the many cultures. His medium was a medium called jazz, but it was a jazz that touched the musical art forms of many different communities. This was a brother that understood Latin jazz. This was a brother who really understood folk music and really kind of incorporated a lot of musical elements in his effort. He hailed from Jordan High School and played with the LA Philharmonic before he was 20 years old. But I'm also proud today to kick off the Charlie Mingus Son of Watts Musical Caravan Project. And over the next 9 months in this city, from San Pedro to Leimert Park to the San Fernando Valley, we'll light up with concerts, programs, and activities celebrating this great musician's life and work. So we're not just celebrating him here in Watts, we're taking him all over the city.
For a long time, we don't offer enough things to our young people. You know, we tell them to stay out of gangs. We tell them to stay away from drugs. We tell them to stay into school. But we've taken away a lot of the things that were important. We've taken away some of the art classes, the music classes, the auto shop classes in school. And a lot of these kids, we tell them to say no, but we don't give them anything to say yes to. This is something to say yes to. And we know that there will be a Charlie Mingus maybe in this audience this morning, or a Buddy Collette that will actually have the ability to be mentored and tutored and really taught how they can achieve their dreams and their skills.
Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Let's have some fun. Go!
Los Angeles, Department of Cultural Affairs, Watts Towers Art Center, and Charles Mingus Youth Arts Center Poet Laureate Program presents this award to Gerald Quigley.
My memory is the nighttime steps of Chavez Boulevard, my prairies, a grassy expanse of traffic islands, and my cool blaze profile lying in the grass, while High Mesa is found on the nighttime roof of the parking structures, where I set up my telescope and I spied 3 Puerto Ricans from the hood, wiping their names on the moon's surface in petroglyphs with cans of Krylon, and my prism tells me there is something better waiting for me. I will find myself in the bones of my family and the whispers of these hills, in the bones of my family and the whispers of these hills.
Her name is Olga Gray. She is the executive director of the Cultural Affairs Department. I'd like for you to welcome her here, and I'd like to let her know how much I really appreciate all of the support that she's been giving since she's been here. She's only been here a short time, but she's come here and made some radical decisions to make sure that this campus stays intact and that we remain an arts institution that's delivering arts education to our young people in this community.
Karan Harris, an outstanding drummer from the area.
And Milan Ali, with our gratitude and love, please. Willa Moore, you deserve this so much from all of us. Accept the Community Service Award.
And the winner this year, from the Big Ten in Compton, Central Avenue's finest, right across from the old Golden Bird, the Centennial Apache.
Well, I've been doing jazz subject matter for over 30 years now, but when Rosie called me in July saying that they're having a show on Charles Mingus and if I had any pieces, I had a couple of pieces I had done over the years, but I said, would you like something special? I could do something special to add to the show, so that's when I did the stained glass door, mosaic, puzzle piece, and then I think acrylic on glass. I've known Carlos since the 70s, and I think we've always kind of bounced off each other. And when he saw what I was doing with the mosaics, he asked how to do it. I think simply showed him how to do it the way it was shown to me. Carlos has shot. He's taken off from it. Now he wants to go to the stained glass. I showed him how to do the stained glass thing. So I know Carlos is going to force it past me, like some of the other students that I've taught in high school. These kids, once they're shown it, you know, it's unlimited. Their imaginations can take it. So I know what Carlos, you know, given the time and the resources is there, Carlos is going to fly way past me. And that's a good feeling to see somebody that you've shown something to take it to another level.
Why I did the poster, the way I did it, is I wanted to show, you know, the bass player, because of Charlie Mingus, the drummer, the djembe drummer, because of the fire of the djembe and its popularity and how it's just spread all over the country and all over the world. It's such a well-known indigenous instrument right now. And then also the female vocalist to put in there, and her, you know, ambience being expressed in her wardrobe, but, you know, having some African regalia is part of me being associated with West African dance myself. I've been a performer for a number of years, for over 20 years. And I know a lot of people in that, so that's greatly influenced my work.
I wasn't originally supposed to be in the show. And Rosie took a look at my work and said, we're gonna find a way. A lot of parents, they don't have the finances for piano lessons, for art lessons, and they're teaching them digital, and they're teaching them animation, and these are things that our kids are generally not exposed to. Me being an artist, I kind of expose it to my kids, but for me to be able to come here, do what I'm doing, have my daughter playing her piano. Angela Davis, that's another right place at the right time. The second print here is a photograph of my daughter, and I'm happy with that. It's called Pet Orange, and the story behind the photograph. She had an orange, and for about 2 weeks it took us to get this orange from her. And she took it everywhere. She took it to school, she took it to sleep, she took it to the car, you know, and she kept it with us. And one day I'm sitting watching TV and I look over and she's just sitting there asleep, you know, like a newborn with this orange. And I grabbed my camera and just turned around and photographed it, you know, and that's just one of those times as an artist, period, that I call it a lucky moment. Like the Rosa Parks photograph, you know, it's something that I had a unique opportunity to just photograph her. You know, I wasn't supposed to be there, and I was always taught to be prepared for the moment, and that's what that was. It was the right place at the right time and opportunity, and I got to photograph, and I'm happy for it, you know, and it seems to be one of my more popular photographs.
Charlie Mingus, to me, when I hear the name, the bells ring in my head. He's a great warrior. He's a great icon. He's a leader. He's an innovator, creator. Badass dude.
Thank you very much, Rosie Lee Hooks, and all our community for preserving this beautiful energy. Thank you for inviting us. God bless.
He was a fighter for rights, you know. He hated the idea that there was racial prejudice, and he was light-skinned. He didn't want to hear any talk about that. He said, you guys are all prejudiced at the theater and all that. And the guys were so upset with him, but they didn't want him to say that to them. They didn't want to talk about it. It was like now they didn't want to talk about the truth. But he wasn't afraid of anybody, and he told you what he was thinking all the time.
Charles Mingus, along with Buddy Collette, was one of the founders of what you call West Coast jazz. But what they were most significantly and will always be remembered for was integrating the unions. They actually integrated the musicians' unions here and fought for that. With that in mind, they created their own union and then integrated the two unions, the black union and the white union here in Los Angeles. And it caused a ripple effect across the country, where everybody's unions began to coalesce, to assemble, and become one. You know, we integrated the unions, beginning right here with Charles Mingus and Buddy Collette. 32nd Annual Watchtowers Jazz Festival is the oldest jazz festival in Los Angeles. And we celebrate jazz here like we don't anywhere else, mostly with local people. And it's all about having a good time, and it's through the donations and the hard work of a lot of people who volunteer to pull this thing off that we're able to do this, you know, and we're happy to do this. We're happy to be involved in this music because it is what so many of us consider our music, you know, and it's just a joy and a pleasure to be a part of.
Mofika nkeke de tutu si lekumi. Bobo are ili mi tutu.
This is the 27th Annual Watchtowers Day of the Drum Festival and the 32nd Annual Simon Rodea Watchtowers Jazz Festival with a tribute to Charles Mingus, the past, the present, and the future.
May all the children that are here be cool and refreshed.
Always the last weekend in September, you can come to the Watchtowers Art Center and find these two festivals going.
Be cool and refreshed. On our tutu, may the house be cool and refreshed.
We made a tribute to Charles Mingus this year because we're opening the Charles Mingus Youth Art Center. Many people don't know that Charles Mingus grew up one street over on 108th Street. He went to 111th Street Elementary School and also 113th Street School. That's before he went to Jordan High School with Buddy Collette. So it's fitting that the Jazz Mentorship Program will be sponsoring the music that's coming out of the Charles Mingus Youth Art Center as Buddy and Charles came up together in music in this community.
For the LA Alumni Jazz Band.
all these wonderful musicians that we have that have played all over the world. And I think in having this center at this particular time will certainly, number one, bring to attention the young people in this area that this area has real quality, real worth, and is sponsoring something that will let them know that they should carry on this same idea of quality and worth. With the bass choir, there was a combination of those of us who play more, jazz, and then there are those who play classical music. So you had the two traditions coming together and utilizing all of those skills from both traditions, in a positive way. So I really enjoyed that a lot too. Our children, our community are in dire need to hear live music. They need music lessons, piano lessons, voice lessons, lessons in film and technology. Got together with the fabulous James Leary, and James had already written numerous arrangements of Charles Mingus's music, so it was just a perfect fit. And of course, Roberto Miranda, who happened to be one of my bass teachers, Roberto. James and I had already performed at the Disney Disney Concert Hall maybe a couple of months ago, and so he had noticed a couple of really talented young men, Bill Johnson and Hakeem Holloway, in the orchestra, and I said, well, we got to get those guys. So we got this bass choir together and rehearsed, and Mingus wrote some really difficult music. You just can't play, you can't play his melodies just, on the snap. You really have to know what you're doing.
This will be my shining hour. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. It ended a moment ago.
far as composing and a piano playing, that was a gift from God, of course, you know. To have that kind of talent that was in his lap, you could hear those notes a lot of times. You could have every note there and he could still hear the notes that he would put in. He was a good piano player, but he didn't play for a band. He only played for himself and to write. So he was an exciting guy to be around all the time. No dull moments with him around.
With a shotgun and a whip, you know, and everybody wants to know.
And Ray Bailey is the blues with a capital B, and you got to come and see. A lot of people don't know about Ray Bailey because they probably don't go to the blues clubs here in Southern California because there aren't that many. But Ray is the blues, and he is the bomb.
I've stayed in the ghetto flats, cold and numb. Tell the paper, just say the road to sun, and I got the blues. Well, I've been around a long time. You know I really have faith on the blues. Well, I've stood in line down at the county hall. I heard a man say we're gonna build some new apartment for you, and I got the blues.
We're trying to develop a tourism package for the towers that people will be interested in. They come to the towers, they get a chance to see the towers, they go to the art center, and then they have an opportunity to maybe take something home. So I'm in the process of getting something so that they can take home.
I was one of the original co-founders of the Watts Towers Art Center back in 1964. The process is called the science of chemurgy. This is an aspect of the actual science of art. And the process is one that takes industrial waste and recycles it into new and useful commercial products. So this process is all given to the world by Dr. George Washington Carver almost 100 years ago, but too few people are even knowledgeable yet today of this process. So my efforts here is to assist in reintroducing it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
I got a call from Rosalie to do Mingus with Patrice. Patrice is great, as you know. And she didn't even make rehearsal, and Dougal didn't either, but we talked about who we wanted and what we would do, and more or less gave them the idea of what we'd be doing. So I knew they could play both of them as excellent as our horn players were too. So we got together with the horns and Richard, our bass player, who we've known, he can play everything. But he was excited too to play Mingus' stuff. Mingus was a fun guy. He was very creative. He tried a lot of things. Even if you hit a strange note, that's okay. It may be somebody in the audience say, I like that note better than the other notes you're playing. You never know what an audience.
This is just another place to continue to do what we are already doing, another space, which means we can facilitate more programs in the community. Our Visiting Schools program, our Neighborhood Schools program, our Senior and Special Needs program, all of those programs will be facilitated by this building also.
We saw Simon Rodea build this part of it because we're talking about 1935, 36, and he had like a wall maybe as high as those pictures are. And we said, what's that guy doing? I've never seen a wall like that. But he was going on up. We'd be playing through here and we put pop bottles on the railroad tracks and the train master would hit it and break it. And he used little glass pieces, little rocks and whatever, bottle tops to put in his mortar. And we just said, the guy's got to be nuts. Why is he doing that? We didn't, we couldn't figure it out. We're only 15 years old then.
I think that it would be foolhardy to dismiss the arts as another way that a government can serve its citizens. It's really about affirming life, and it's really about building a positive environment.